Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I gotta tell you, it's very satisfying to see the XRP community continue to be proven to have been correct. The things that we've been talking about for straight up over a decade at this point as a community, they're finally being recognized as correct. We just saw it before everybody else. In this particular case, I'm going to share with you some things that were stated by Blackrock CEO Larry Fink in an annual chairman's letter to investors. And although he doesn't specifically cite what Ripple's doing, he doesn't specifically cite XRP, he is describing exactly what we have been talking about, specifically having to do with Swift and specifically having to do with the tokenization of real-world assets. And these are things, both of these things, will help to ensure the long-term viability of XRP and the XRP ledger, which means as more money flows into crypto in the coming years and decades, the price of XRP could be a monster compared to where it is right now. And so it's just nice, and it's satisfying, it's vindicating to see that, you know, the largest, again, this is a financial juggernaut here. This is the largest asset manager on the freaking planet, Blackrock, holding somewhere around, like, I think it's 10 or 11 trillion dollars in assets under management. They're sharing the general ideas that we in the XRP community have been espousing again for over a decade. It's truly a sight to behold. It is going the way that we thought and hoped that it would, broadly speaking, and XRP does have traction here. That's what's so freaking exciting about this. And it's not going to be one coin to rule them all. There are and will continue to be multiple chains that tokenize assets, financial assets, and that's fine. I'm just saying, since XRP was one of the first movers, it's already like, in my mind, XRP cemented as an early winner in the crypto space. It's just going to get better. Wait till you see what he had to say here. It's just so vindicating. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, I came across this thanks to XRP community member Panos. He's a wealth of knowledge here within the XRP community. He's actually building stuff on top of the XRP ledger. And so he shared the two most relevant screen grabs. And so I want to give him a shout out and credit here. And I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to share with you what he had to say because it's exactly in line with what I was thinking. We were right. Everybody else that said XRP didn't make sense, stupidly stating that it doesn't have any utility, anything along those lines, it was very obviously wrong. Like, super bad takes, incredibly bad takes. And so here's what Larry Fink wrote. This is just again, astonishing to see. And after having been here for so many freaking years and insisting that this would eventually the world would figure it out, this is massive, because when Larry Fink says something, people in key places the world over are persuaded because he's persuasive. Like, it's different. Like, it's one thing for you or I to scream it on social media. It's a whole different thing when you have Larry Fink saying, yeah, this makes sense. Anyway, so here's what he wrote. Tokenization is democratization. The world's money moves through plumbing built when trading floors still shouted orders and fax machines felt revolutionary. Take the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, or SWIFT for short. It's anything but. It says, it's the system that underpins trillions of dollars in global transactions every day, and it works much like a relay race. Banks hand off instructions one by one, meticulously checking details at each step. That relay approach made sense in the 1970s, an analog era when the markets were much smaller and daily transactions were much fewer. But today, relying on SWIFT feels like routing emails through the postal service. That's a great comparison. I never thought about it to word it exactly like that, but it's like, you have email, let's route it through the postal service because reasons. That's kind of how bad it is here. And Ripple recognized this over a freaking decade ago, and they sought to fix the problem by using XRP specifically as a bridge currency, and that is growing. It would be nice to see it grow at a faster rate, and maybe it will in the future as crypto continues to get adopted and regulatory concerns continue to get worked out the world over. But it is working. And XRP is being used for this specific use case. And so, but check this out, because this isn't the only piece that matters, because when we're talking about XRP as a bridge currency, we're talking about converting from one fiat currency to another in various geographic regions. But there are other things that make SWIFT irrelevant on top of that. And here, XRP also helps. And so Larry Fink writes, tokenization changes all that. If SWIFT is the postal service, tokenization is email itself. Assets move directly and instantly, sidestepping intermediaries. What exactly is tokenization? It's turning real-world assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, into digital tokens tradable online. Each token certifies your ownership of a specific asset, much like a digital deed. Unlike traditional paper certificates, these tokens live securely on a blockchain, enabling instant buying, selling, and transferring without cumbersome paperwork or waiting periods. That's right, folks. So it's effectively instant, especially if you're doing this stuff on the XRP ledger, because you can tokenize all of this on the XRP ledger. Stocks, bonds, real estate, you can tokenize whatever the hell you want on the XRP ledger. And each transaction is so cheap, it might as well be free. It's fractions of a penny. And you cut out the middlemen. Obviously, this was always going to be a better way to do things. And obviously, this was going to be adopted. Now, you could have argued back in 2017 that XRP Ledger was never going to get a piece of this. That's harder to argue now because it does have a piece of it. It has a piece of this. It's just going to get way, way, way bigger. You can see what's happening here. You can absolutely see. So he's right. It's just that we knew this first. Our community was among the first people to figure this out over a decade ago. And I've been around a little over 7 years, as many of you know. But I found this argument compelling right away. And once I started to learn this stuff in my earliest of days being in the XRP community, I was like, yeah, you guys, thanks for coming before me. You guys did figure out something special. And I quickly became convinced this absolutely is the future. I mean, aspects of the future. And now here we are all these years later. And to me, it just seemed like duh. It seemed like just such an obvious thing. So I'm not surprised to see this. It's just that it's satisfying to see this. And then Larry Fink said, every stock, every bond, every fund, every asset can be tokenized. If they are, it will revolutionize investing. Markets wouldn't need to close. Transactions that currently take days would clear in seconds. And billions of dollars currently immobilized by settlement delays could be reinvested immediately back into the economy, generating more growth. Duh, absolutely. I'm so glad he's screaming this to the world now. And all of this, if these things are tokenized on the XRP ledger, that requires the usage of XRP. It is coded into the XRP ledger. That is how it works. XRP would be the gas for every single transaction. And since it's functionally useful, that is actual utility, that will cause more people to feel confident that it makes sense investing in XRP for a span of years and decades. They'll have confidence because, like, well, okay, this XRP thing, it's used for XYZ, all these use cases, including the tokenization of assets. So if I want to have exposure in the crypto asset class, I want to jump in here, it makes sense to put some of those funds that I want to put in crypto specifically into XRP. Of course, people are going to think like that. I believe that since 2017. That, of course, that's why boatloads of money it's going to flow into XRP in the coming years and decades. And so here's what Panos had to say about this. He wrote, does this remind you of something? It's what Ripple has been pushing for about a decade, and the XRP ledger is the ideal and most powerful technology that can enable that. There is zero doubt that the future of finance is on-chain. Every single financial asset will be tokenized. Spot on. 100% spot on. That is exactly the route that we're going. He also shared this. This is more from Larry Fink here. Perhaps most importantly, tokenization makes investing much more democratic. It can democratize access. Tokenization allows for fractional ownership. That means assets could be sliced into infinitely small pieces. This lowers one of the barriers to investing in valuable, previously inaccessible assets like private real estate and private equity. Folks, I swear, I was making videos in like 2018 and 2019 era, literally talking about that. On this channel, they're still up. I was like, yeah, it's going to make it easier. You're going to be in an increasingly liquid world. I would always say that. And be like, it's going to be easier. So like, yes, you can have fractional ownership in anything today, but it's, people are less likely to engage in that type of activity because it's cumbersome, there's paperwork, there's fees associated with it, it's slow. But when you can just, with the click of a mouse button, get in and out of positions, and you could be fractional ownership in expensive art or real estate or whatever it be, yes. And some of this is going to live on the XRP ledger. It is just amazing to see this to me. As someone that's been here for a little while, like, it's amazing to see this from Larry Fink. He says it can democratize shareholder voting. When you own a stock, you have a right to vote on the company's shareholder proposals. Tokenization makes that easier because your ownership and voting rights are digitally tracked, allowing you to vote seamlessly and securely from anywhere. It can democratize yield. Some investments produce much higher returns than others, but only big investors can get into them. One reason? Friction. Legal, operational, bureaucratic. Tokenization strips that away, allowing more people access to potentially higher returns. One day, I expect tokenized funds will become as familiar to investors as ETFs, provided we crack one critical problem: identity verification. Financial transactions demand rigorous identity checks. Apple Pay and credit cards handle identity verification effortlessly, billions of times a day. Trade venues like New York Stock Exchange and Market Access manage to do the same for buying and selling securities. But tokenized assets won't run through those traditional channels, meaning we need a new digital identity verification system. It sounds complex, but India, the world's most populous country, has already done it. Today, over 90% of Indians can securely verify transactions directly from their smartphones. The takeaway is clear. If we're serious about building an efficient and accessible financial system, championing tokenization alone won't suffice. We must solve digital verification too. And folks, there are all sorts of people and businesses that have been working on this for much of the last decade also. So we'll see what wins and how this looks ultimately, but it's coming. This is a certainty in my mind. It's coming. And things absolutely have been getting tokenized on the XRP ledger, well, really since inception. I mean, even back in 2015, there was a company that started tokenizing gold on the XRP ledger. So like, this has been going on a long time. It just wasn't popular back then. But it's increasingly becoming popular. Here's a headline from November 26th of last year. XRP holds strong as Archex unveils tokenized money market fund on XRP ledger. And so I covered this at the time. Again, anything that's a financial asset, it can and will be tokenized on the XRP ledger. And so I don't want to read through the story here, but I just want to point out this is happening. It already is a thing. It's not, will this go to the XRP ledger? It's on the XRP ledger, which means XRP persists. XRP is required for all of this. And this is happening because XRP was one of the first movers. It's already won. That's what I'm saying. XRP is the XRP and the XRP ledger have already won. Here's a new headline. This is from March 31st this year. Archex buys FINRA-regulated broker-dealer to offer tokenized assets in the U.S. Archex, a UK-regulated crypto exchange and custodian focusing on tokenized assets, acquired a U.S. broker-dealer in an effort to enter the booming institutional market in the country after recent positive changes on the regulatory environment. And so part of this is absolutely XRP and the XRP ledger. And that's not the only chain they're interested in, but it's part of it, and that's fantastic. Here's another one. This is from January 28th this year. Ondo finances tokenized U.S. Treasury to join XRP ledger. Tokenization protocol Ondo Finance plans to deploy its tokenized U.S. Treasury fund on the XRP ledger, giving investors access to institutional-grade government bonds that can be redeemed with stable coins. Do you see the future now? Like, this is it. And I'd already covered this. I don't want to run through the whole article here. I just wanted to point out, to cap the video off, it's already happened, folks. We already won. It's just, we just have to wait for the rest of the world to figure it out. And that's what's going to cause the price of XRP to just rocket compared to where it is as more money flows into crypto, as the rest of the world figures it out. It's just, you figured it out first. That's the thing. And that's why even if we were to enter a bear market now, and we don't see a final euphoric blow off top, although I think we will see that this cycle, but even if we didn't, I'll sleep easy, because I firmly believe that what is most probable is that we're going to see this persist, and you're going to see that as more and more people figure this out, the price of XRP is just going to go up year after year after year. Not perfectly up in a straight line, but even decades from now. So I sleep easy because big picture, however long it takes, like, we're just here. Like, XRP just is a fixture in the world of crypto now. That's the point. If you're not excited, I'm not convinced you have a pulse. The writing is on the wall. We just have to wait and then number go up. Like, that's it. That's how you get life-changing wealth. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.